Are you using your brain to its full potential? Do you know what critical thinking is? People today do not know how to use or apply critical thinking or problem solving in their life. Many college students are leaving college without the ability to successfully survive in the world. People are not being taught how to think critically, and they do not try to learn how. We think we already think critically, or that it is natural for us to do so. But critical thinking is not something you can just do automatically. Critical thinking needs to be learned and studied to master it. It is a more advanced way of thinking. It makes you use your brain in a more complex way than regular thinking. I am a student at Northlake College. I am in a psychology class learning about critical thinking and learning more on how to use it in my life, in school, and when I become a teacher. I will discuss the lack of critical thinking in our society and give information on how to critically think. My 3 main points are an explanation on what critical thinking is, the issue of why our society does not use critical thinking, an explained example on Goldilocks and the 3 bears, starting with natural to critical thinking questions. The critical thinking community tells us critical thinking is the art of analyzing and evaluating thinking with a view to improving it. A well-learned critical thinker will raise importance to the questions and problems, formulating them clearly and precisely. They will look for the important information using abstract ideas to interpret it efficiently. They test their conclusions to where they become well-reasoned. They think with an open mind. They work well communicating with peers and find solutions to solving problems. Now that you know what critical thinking is and what a critical thinker does, I will discuss how people in our society do not know how to critically think. Critical thinking has become an issue because people do not understand that when we think, much of it is biased or distorted and very prejudiced. Our life and its quality of what we assemble or establish is dependent on the level of our thinking. The critical thinking community says excellence in thought, however, must be systematically cultivated. This means to have good thinking skills, you have to prepare things in a consistent manner. Natural thinking is very different from critical thinking. This is because when we think naturally, we use our common sense, and it is much less detailed. We do not look into what we are examining. We are basically just skimming the rim of the concept. In my psychology book, it explains how critical thinkers do not just accept and believe what they hear. This is a big problem with people because they hear an idea or someone's thought instead of looking at all of the sides, they just assume they are right. Now that I have told you about the problems we have with critical thinking, I will give an example of critical thinking questions. Here's a few examples of natural thinking to more critical thinking questions. I am learning in another class on using Bloom's taxonomy. While reading, you should ask yourself questions while reading. This example gives questions over Goldilocks and the 3 bears. The first one is knowledge. This is a natural question something reading the story will answer. What are some things Goldilocks did in the 3 bears' house? Comprehension. Why did Goldilocks like the little bear's chair best? This is understanding the story. Application. If Goldilocks had come into your house, what are some of the things she might have used? This is a more complex question. Analysis. What parts of the fairy tale could be real? Make believe. This question makes you think, and you have to use your own brain and not just from what's from the story. Synthesis. How might the story be different if Goldilocks had visited the 3 fishes? This is putting the story into a different view. The last one, and most critical thinking question, is do you think Goldilocks was good or bad? Why do you think so? In my speech, I gave an explanation on critical thinking, the issue of our society not using critical thinking, and gave questions over a nursery rhyme to build critical thinking skills. So next time you're doing your homework and start to write what you believe the answer is or what it is trying to tell you, use critical thinking. This will improve your skills and will even make you sound smarter. Your college life will become easier, and when you leave, you will use these skills throughout your life. Thank you.